back. We are back. Our second last honorary Orca podcast with each other.
I don't want it to end.
I know. And it'll probably be a while before if we get back together.
Well, I don't think there'll be another season that none of us are involved in
some way.
Yeah, like I think
for a while anyway.
Probably all going to be crewing things.
I've said this to you guys. I was like, I want to crew so badly, but I also really want to do this podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, I want to play more than anything else.
Oh, of course.
Okay. I need to keep playing.
Of course. Okay. All right. We are here. Tonight we have Kate and Chloe joining us to deep dive their games. I'm so excited because it means we've had everybody from this season come and join us and give us their experience about the game. And I feel like with no further ado, I'm just going to bring Kate in because she's with us now. So we don't have to wait too long. Here she is, the one and only.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for joining us. How are you feeling?
That's okay. Yes, I'm good. A little bit of a cough and a bit croaky. But last week I was truly like Caitlin for the whole season, basically.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh my gosh, if Caitlin's on and I'm basically mimicking her for all of the episodes, I'm like, that's not a great look. But yeah, I'm better. And much longer hair now, which I forget people know me as shaved head, but it's 2 years on and many haircuts.
Yeah, well, 2 years on, like refresh our memory. Like it was a while ago. How did you came on with Annabelle?
Yeah, I did. Annabelle put me onto it, and she was like, if you do it, I'll do it. And so we both signed up, and then we both got on. And I remember us sitting on the train on the way being like, oh my God, what have we done? What have we signed up to? And we were both like, I don't like this. And then when we got there, we were like, oh, it's fine. This is quite easy. It's very enjoyable. Let's do it.
Yeah, awesome. And are you, I mean, we call ourselves nerds. Are you a Survivor nerd, or are you just like, where do you sit in the Survivor realm?
I think before meeting a lot of the people who played, I thought I was a nerd, but they truly out-nerd me.
Yes.
Yes, I have watched a lot. Am I like the statistician that like knows people's names from previous seasons? No, I do not. I'm not a good name rememberer, but I do watch a lot, and I have watched a lot.
All right. So you weren't a complete noob.
Not exactly. Not a complete no. I wouldn't say I'm a capital C casual, but I wouldn't call myself a capital N nerd either.
Okay. All right.
So, Kate, as Dani said earlier, it has been 2 years. What's been your experience like after the game, having to like form connections with people, and you finished in a really good spot. Are you happy with your game as well?
Yeah. I'm relatively outside of the kind of group who've played, but I have like such delightful memories of playing with them and the few weeks after. And everyone I met there is so lovely, and watching it back is really nice because it was just such a generous game, I think. Everyone was really generous in how they played and how they spoke about other people, and in their exit interviews, not exit interviews, but like their exit confessionals as well. So I think that's like, I'm happy with how I left the game, and I'm happy with the relationships as they were in the game, and then how that's translated afterwards as well.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Sorry, go on, Jules.
No. I just wanted to ask about your game in general. We saw you come out as this challenge beast. Is that something that you knew was going to be your strong point, or was that a surprise to you?
I've always played Sporty Spice. So yes, but it's again, everything's all relative. If I went up against people who train all the time and are like super athletic in an absolute instead of relative sense, no, I would be dying. But I think just relative to the crew, I ended up being at the kind of higher end of things. And so, that worked for me. But I guess that was my gameplay, was just like see where I fit within, and then work with that. I think before, in the kind of little chats we had with the crew before going in and they asked for our strategy, I think that's all I could say, is that I'm going to have to see who is there what they like doing, what their chat is, how into the game they are, if they're super athletic, and then just go with that and be like, I guess I'm relatively strong, so I'll be the challenge beast.
Yeah. Oh, and you performed.
I got so carried away though. I love, again, speaking with Annabelle afterwards, I was like, I love little obstacle courses. And a few weeks after, I was like, oh, I just want Keegan to set me up a little obstacle course again because they were so fun.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Kate, stop getting carried away. Like, you should maybe not be so in the zone and so excited about like your little challenges and be like, this isn't good for your strategy. Stop it. But it was fun.
Yeah.
And there was a confessional at one point where you were talking about how, like, before the challenge, you know that that's bad for you to be winning challenges, but in it, you're like in the zone. And I think all three of us feel that. We're all very competitive people as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't. If I'm not in it, I've got to be like in it to win it. Otherwise, there's no point. And I just forget. I'm like, what did I do to win here? So take us back to the morning of, you got off the train, you're surrounded by these vivacious, big personalities. And while your personality definitely shines throughout the game, you're definitely not one of like the biggest personalities to start with. What is that like? Because straight off the bat, it's just like, I mean, you're friends with Annabelle, so you know what to expect in terms of big personalities. But the rest of them, there's so many others.
Yeah, they're oh my goodness, CK, the love of my life.
Oh yeah, the next
one. I quite like so I've done a lot of teaching. And I think that teaching is about just like being able to kind of watch, listen, and respond in a way that's not really about yourself sometimes. It's about the other person. And so I think maybe that was quite useful. And maybe that was like, is just how I operate in general. Until I can understand whether someone's a big personality and is taking the piss, or a big personality and is being rude, or like, you know, you just kind of work it out. And so, yeah, I think I took a little step back, especially with CK, because I couldn't decide. I was like, are you joking with me? Are you lying to me? Are you like, I was just like, what's happening here? I can't tell if you're being genuine or not, in your big personality way, or if you're trying to like really explode my game with a lot of the things you were doing. So yeah, I think I just took a step back, and yeah, I'm very good friends with Annabelle, so big personalities are kind of things that I really like to be around, but don't necessarily like do myself.
I think you did that really well, because one thing we were saying every week was how good your reads of other people were. Is that something that is normally a part of your everyday life?
Oh, I would love to think so. But again, I think the moment you say that, you're like, tomorrow something silly will happen. I'll be like, Jules set me up for that. So yeah, I would like to think so. And yeah, I think at that time I was doing a lot of teaching. And I think, yeah, you need to be able to read people in order to be able to communicate appropriately. So maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that we saw as well, Kate, is on one hand, you were really good at reading other players, but on the other, players had a really hard time reading you. And CK mentions that at Merge, and it just goes to show sort of the power position that you were in at the game, where you could sort of go whichever way you wanted to, but also the fact that you're reliable, trustworthy, and people couldn't read your thoughts or where your head was at. So that planned, or do you think that just came across that way in the game?
With CK, I think that was just the only way I could respond to the interactions with him, because I truly couldn't tell if he was, lying to me about the Annabelle thing, because I was like, I can see Annabelle working with him, but also like the way he's kind of coming towards me super kind of like in front of everyone else in not this very like quiet way. I was like, ooh, if he was actually working with Annabelle, would he approach me in this way? That doesn't make too much sense to me. So just lots of the things he did to me didn't make sense for someone who truly wanted to play with me. And so but he actually seemed really sincere. So I was trying to work that out. And also I'm not sure I'm like good at lying. I'm good, like, and that's why I really tried to not lie to CK. I just told him something different.
Sounds like a lie.
Yeah. Where it's just like, we're not
Admission of
voting for
truth.
you.
Yeah.
You know, like you asked me about you, and I said we're not voting for you.
Right.
I'm not going to say we are voting for Max, but I am saying we're not voting for you. It's not a
Yeah.
lie, but I should be telling you more if I really wanted to work with you. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't realize that I was so like, maybe when I'm really thinking, my face just like boom shuts down and is like hard to read. But I didn't realize I was so hard to read.
Well, that's one of the, like, I mean, it seemed like most people wanted to play with you, but the feedback that we got was that you of everybody were the hardest to pinpoint where you were in the game.
Really, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wanted you, but couldn't figure out if you were with them or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I need to work on that. I remember, who was it? After the game ended, oh, it was John. John, we were chatting about that first tribal that we needed to go to. And John said something along the lines of like, I felt like I needed to ask Kate permission to start strategizing. Like we all got back from the challenge and John was like, oh, like, how do we start breaking this out? And I was like, who wants to go get water? But yeah, after the game, John was like, I felt like I needed to ask you, like, can we start now? And I was like, oh my goodness, is that how I came across? Wowee.
It did look like a lot of people were really drawn to at least talking with you and having those conversations. How was the first night for you?
The first night for me. So what had we done that day? We had
fire challenge. Was that the first challenge? The fire challenge?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's make fire at the very beginning.
Make fire.
Oh, that very, very beginning. Okay.
Yeah, before.
Right back to the beginning.
Yeah, right back. I was like, God, had we swapped by then?
No.
Yeah, that was a lovely night. It was nice to kind of get to know people, but you could tell some people were a bit nervous about kind of showing their cards. Some people I think were nervous about being like super into the game, whereas I was like, there's no way you find out about this without being super into the game. So it's totally fine. Like I was asking, it's like, what's your favorite? Like we all have Survivor in common. We are like, let's just like share about that. But some people were like a bit sheepish about saying what their favorite season was and like what their favorite. And I was like, come on, it truly doesn't matter. You're not going to be targeted for being a super fan on this show, surely. So yeah, it was light. It was light to begin with, but everyone was really lovely. And I think a log fell out of the fire at one point, and I almost got like I was sleeping in a sleeping bag beside the fire. Because I get super cold, which also I'm not sure it shows on the season, but I was freezing the entire time. I would bring a much smaller but thicker fleece. I went for like big but kind of loose. I would go thicker and smaller next time because I was cold the whole time. But yes, I was sleeping by the fire, and I think a log fell out and almost kind of got my sleeping bag. But I survived.
Did someone? Who else was it? Dale?
Dale, was it Dale? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Dale save you, or did you save Dale, or
I was
someone
sleeping.
saved someone?
I saved no one.
Okay.
Let's go. Dale saved me.
Yeah, let's go with that. And then, so just to continue on from this moment in time, you go to your first challenge and you lose. Like, did you have thoughts about potentially going to the first tribal? Everyone goes into the game being like, just don't want to go to first tribal, just don't want to be the first person out. But your tribe unfortunately loses. So what was that like for you? Did you have a game plan, or you just went in using like your social skills?
No game plan, really. Yeah, social skills. And again, super awkward having known these people for less than 24 hours and then having literally half an hour to have a chat. And we're not even past the getting to know you point in any any way. We've had an evening together, and now we have to kind of justify a decision. Like it was a bit silly. And any sort of justification was going to be a bit blur and a bit stuck together. So yeah, no plan. it was just who came to me and was happy to say names and who I had confidence in. Some people were quite nervous and talked quite quietly or weren't as kind of open with me. And so I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what's happening here. So I went with the people that were the most open and chatty with me.
And who were they? Who were you confident with from the get-go?
I think I was confident with Tash and Caitlin from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Dale as well was pretty, or I was quite confident I could read Dale because Dale doesn't hide that much. Like if he's nervous, he's nervous. If he's happy, he's happy. If he's, and so I think I was quite confident in being able to work with Dale or at least understand where he was going to go. I think those were the three from the beginning. I should have worked with John more in hindsight, looking back. But yeah, I think we had a nervous energy together that wasn't necessarily giving each other any sort of like comfort or loyalty.
Yeah.
So that first boot, I don't know if you've heard, has been highly controversial through the season and the reaction since the airing of the season and how that's gone down.
Really? Why?
Scott just wasn't particularly happy for reasons that he thought he was being targeted for, as of being a straight white man. So he felt a little put off by that fact, even though that wasn't necessarily the only reason, but that was in his head the reason. And it's been highly contested throughout the season, and his reaction to it. What was your relationship like with Scott? Like, what was, because from our understanding, he just wasn't in with anybody.
Yeah, look, he was pretty hard to get to know. Or like you felt like you were getting a pretty typical response as opposed to like a personal response. And it was true that like I don't think anyone was being malicious. Like it was just a game and a decision that needed to be made. So yeah, I guess that's all I really kind of thought about it.
Yeah, I know that's everybody's response. It was kind of just like it was the person we had less of everything with. Everyone else we kind of had a decent enough vibe with. I think it's just been a long time brewing for some people. When it was first boot, it's hard to swallow.
So Kate, I'm interested to know what you think about the tribe swap and then your position in the new yellow tribe.
The controversial tribe swap, which we've all had lots of opinions on.
I may have ranted a bit about that.
Oh, really? What was it? So I was super happy to be with Tash. I was like, oh, phew. Tash is so smart. I wish she had won. Her boot was so sad. I was like, where do I go from here?
Robbed.
I know, truly. But yeah, I think I was really happy to be with Tash. Of the were they yellow? Sorry, it's truly so long ago.
Yeah, new yellow.
So CK, Chloe, Max,
Brady.
And Brady.
With you, Tash, and
Dale.
Of that crew, so the CK, Brady, Chloe, Max crew, like those were probably the four on that tribe that I was kind of least wanting to be swapped into because like Josh seems like an absolute treat. Annabelle, yes. Rosie and I have done master's study together and we just kind of happened to be in the same, like we just saw each other before the show, like sitting, waiting in our little holding pen.
Wow.
And we're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Yeah, we bumped into each other and done some classes at uni the year before. She was in research I did, and then we just see each other and I was like, this is fateful.
Oh,
so I was like, 100%. Rosie will be solid. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know too much about Ma, but yeah. So anyway, had a good feeling about those three that ended up boom over there. And was like, okay, we're going to have to do some legwork with these crew. And CK celebrated a lot of their immunity wins, which really did
That's
not.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. It's quite a subtle character. which I was like getting like puffed up and calming myself down because he was like celebrating so aggressively, and I was like, you're being a bad sports person, dude, chill out. So then when I was on the tribe with him, I was like, how's this gonna go of all people? And then CK was like super upfront with coming to chat to people in a way that I found incredibly confusing, because CK's not subtle. And also, like, I say all this knowing CK is like, he knows about this, he's not going to be offended by any of this. Like, he's not subtle. So when he's coming to me saying
I don't think he'd even pretend to be subtle.
Exactly.
It's not that great.
I can't even imagine what that would look like.
No, that's weird.
No,
That'd be
right?
weird. Yeah.
It would. So we're sitting around the fire having a chat, and people are talking, and he's like leaning over to like Max or Brady or Chloe, whispering like in front of us, and we're like, Tash and I are like, dude, what are you doing? What's happening here? Like, if you're meaning to be rude, you're succeeding. If you're meaning to strategize, maybe you're succeeding. I don't know. But then he pulls me being like, Annabelle and I were really close, la, la, la. And I was like, I'm not convinced after you've just like whispered in front of everyone. Now you come to me. I'm like, I don't know. That's not seeming super sincere. So I was really like churned up, I guess, by being around people who'd supposedly worked with Annabelle, but I couldn't tell if they actually had. Happy to be with Dale and Tash, but us in the bottom three, I was like, or inner three, in the minority on that side. I was like, how are we going to do this? And because they hadn't been to tribal, we had no read on where they stood.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they had a read on where we stood either, like if they knew Tash, Dale, and I had voted together previously or not. But I don't think I ever got that sense from them.
The sense that we got was that they just wanted to try to separate the three of you. So they kind of fed you all different outcomes of what the votes would look like.
We'd been told that the plan was to buddy up to you and Dale, gaslight Tash, but then if you went to tribal, to vote out Dale.
Okay. Yep. Okay. God, why is everyone sleeping on Tash?
I don't know.
I think because you and Tash both had idols, so they wanted to make sure you guys didn't know where the votes were going.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because that would have been pretty epic. Because like Tash would have had the rock idol, you had your idol, and then Dale. No, if Dale already played who's in the first vote, and the three of you all had idols, it would have been very epic had you gone to vote.
It would have.
Yeah,
and I will tell you, we were not sleeping on Tash.
Good.
No,
we did not sleep on Tash.
The other thing I was raging about at the swap episode is that she was last picked. That should not have happened.
Oh. I know. Yeah, I was like, come on, Tash, first pick, surely. Yeah.
Was it CK getting Annabelle's jacket that did it for you, that realized that they were friends? Is that what put you over the edge, or is it?
God, I'm always going to be amazed with who's friends with Annabelle. And I say that being friends with Annabelle.
Yeah.
Like in some ways afterwards when I was trying to, I was like, I should have known. But then I don't know what brought me on board. What did he say? Because but even then, like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, if CK and Max are working with Annabelle, I'm not sure that's sealing the deal for me, because this guy is running around putting me in danger, telling me how to play my idol, literally running after me down a hill, like pulling me for chats in front of everyone when I'm trying to build rapport with them in this way that like is isolating me. I was like, ooh, you're making it hard to work with you, even though if you reined it in a scooch, I would work with you. Yeah, so I guess it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you talk about running. You obviously have seen the iconic footage of Laurel just piss bolting across the. But then we also get in the same breath the iconic footage of you with your cup of coffee, sit down
That
with
was
Kate,
everything.
watching the chaos unfold around you. Like, can you take us back to that moment? Because like, you just looks like, oh, what's going on? Like, there's not, you don't seem phased at all. Where there's just like this hilarity and chaoticness going on around you.
Yeah, you just look like there was just so much yelling and sprinting. And I was like, if it was something, I've missed it. I'm a bit tired. We've been doing this like 30-minute kind of little segments of life with quite high intensity for whatever, 1.5 days, 2 days now. I was like, I'm a bit tired. I doubt it's going to be anything. So I'm just going to sit here. And if like, Laurel's gone, CK's gone. I was just like, everyone's just running for nothing. And if it's something, I've missed it. So let's just chill out. They'll come back. We'll be able to have a chat. I'll probably be on the right side of things. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Just the polar opposite of the energy that was like, it was
Yeah.
just the most iconic footage that
It
all
was
three
so
of us have ever
funny.
seen. It's fantastic.
It was
And
so
I think you had
funny.
a quote of like,
it's like,
yeah, you had a quote of like, I'm not running, I've got a coffee, and like, we need that on a mug.
I
Yeah.
swear, I was drinking that coffee for 20 minutes.
Oh.
It was in
like,
every scene.
It was
was.
in every scene. I was like, watching it back, I was like, whoa, how much coffee did I have that day? I must have been jittery as. But no, it was just like a normal cup that I drank over 20 minutes and everything happened in that moment.
Yeah, especially your confessional when you're talking about Laurel and then all the guys chasing her was hilarious.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a real nymph in the forest kind of moment, wasn't it?
Laurel would make a very sexy nymph.
Literally, yeah,
Right?
they're Puck. They're whatever it is in Midsummer Night's Dream / The Nymph in the Forest.
Yeah, fantastic.
And with their glittery, what are they called? Like hairpins as well. It was perfect.
Yeah, just pinned up, beautiful.
Yeah.
Leggings. Yeah, flowy skirt. I love it. It. She looks fabulous.
But I'm so glad there were rewards for that challenge because I don't know what I was like. I just like I can't hold my hands above my head for more than 30 seconds without losing circulation. So I was like,
well,
at least I get
was
something.
also like 6 a.m. in the morning and freezing cold. So like your poor little fingies would have been just frozen.
And everyone had the same weight in their bucket, and you were one of the smaller people.
I'm teeny tiny. Yeah, it was outrageous. And yeah, oh my God, bless Laurel as well, making that episode like saying something like sassy and then dropping the water on themselves.
Just imagine it's puppies.
Yeah. It just falls on them. Ah, bless.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
So at that merge vote, we saw that a few people were not quite sure where you stood and that you were maybe seen as a swing vote. Was there any point where you were considering staying with yellow, or were you always going to go back to red?
Always going to go back to red. Because, yeah, Mac's super hard to read and super hard to get confident kind of votes from. CK, like maybe easier to read, but more kind of topsy-turvy. And Brady also super impenetrable in terms of a kind of like confidence. Chloe, much more confidence, but stuck to Brady. So yeah, no, definitely going back that way. And I should have read the Laurel situation better. Watching it back, I was like, oh yeah, I was not paying attention to what happened on the other tribe, being self-absorbed.
So you've got Ethan.
Okay, yeah. So Kate, looking a little bit further down the game, you get to sort of final 6, where I sort of try and group it as, I guess, you, Laurel, and Caitlin being the 3 main targets, and then Dale, Chloe, and John playing a much quieter game. At what sort of point further in merge did you think about how you could potentially get to final 3, or did you just think you'd have to win challenges to get there?
Yeah, I definitely felt this kind of all of a sudden it felt small. It went from being like, okay, there's enough people, there's wiggle room, to being like, oh, okay, wow, it's, you know, it's, we have some really clear lines and one person can really make or break this. And I don't think I planned for that particularly well. I think, yeah, when it got to 6, it felt super small all of a sudden. Who was voted out prior? Brady? Tash. Brady?
Brady and Tash.
Yeah. But sorry, what was the question again, Ethan?
My question was like,
how are you going to get to final 3? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was also getting quite tired by this point, and so
I can't imagine why.
No.
Yeah, it's just a bit like, oh my God, another stressful little like 30 minutes, then a little break, then food, then stressful 30 minutes. And so I was quite happy to have like quite a fun, atypical final 3 of just like some of the stronger players just being like, yeah, why not? If there's going to be a time to do it, this show will be the time to do it, as opposed to being really kind of like fight until the end. And so I think that kind of clicked in. But I also kind of knew that I was past my sell-by date in terms of visibility and in terms of needing to win. So I think I felt this like, shit, I just have to keep winning if I want to make this final 3 actually happen. Otherwise, like, it's been cute while it's lasted.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple of things to like take apart there. And one of the things is you do create an all-girls alliance with potentially Chloe and Caitlin. And the other thing to what you were saying is myself, Dani, and Jules were all watching the finale and like really wanting to see you try and get further in the game, because you lost the challenge and it looked like your time was up. And maybe you couldn't have persuaded people, but all of us really wanted to see you try and just push further in the game and potentially get to the end. So you were clearly tired and you played an amazing game. So yeah, congrats on that. How do you feel?
I agree. Afterwards, I was like, why didn't I push the bringing Caitlin, like, we're going to win it, you or I will win the next challenge? Because I think I could have, like, it's beautiful being on the sidelines and saying you could have won a challenge. I know. But like, I do a lot of rock climbing and my grip strength is quite good. So I was like, I think that challenge could have been okay. And I think I have like decent shoulder stability or whatever that you need for that plank thing. But again, cheap seats, sideline. And yeah, I was like, why didn't I just like push further, push that more? And also, why didn't I go around to others to say, I'm bringing Caitlin? I think that was something in my game that I totally forgot, missed, like didn't think about, was like spruiking my move, not just with the individual that I wanted to convince, but with everyone else. Because like watching it back, you see John do that a lot. You see John be like, Kate said to everyone that she's or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should have said to Dale, I should have said to John, I should have said to Chloe that I'm gonna, like, I'm planning on winning the next challenge, and if I do, I'll take Caitlin with me. Like, then we'll both get through. And then it adds some credibility to that. But at the time, I was just like, you could see that Caitlin was really like stressed with the decision making, and she's super smart. She knows how she wants to play the game. Yeah, she was like people were really, really pushing, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But I think I could have been smarter with chatting to other people and having them confirm with Caitlin for me. But I just thought, like, at the time I was like, there's nothing more I can do to convince this person. And I'm kind of tired of convincing people. But yeah, I definitely, as soon as I got out of the game, or as soon as Caitlin joined me or joined us on the and got voted out, I was like, that was the option I said would happen if you didn't take P. Why didn't I keep saying that?
I said the same thing. I've had this argument with Ethan. I was just like, they wouldn't. Like, I was like, Kate would have taken Caitlin, but Caitlin doesn't take Kate. Like, I was like, this is I was like, Kate takes Caitlin every time.
Ethan was like, no way Kate would have done that. But we were like, yes, she would have.
Yeah, I would have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
I'm kind of a dum-dum Ethan.
I was wrong. I was just like, what's the point in taking Caitlin when, like, she could maybe beat you, whereas the others just, I don't think they can.
But see, I don't care.
Right.
I'm happy to be at final 3, but I don't care about winning. And I think that's what Caitlin like could not understand either. I'm like,
I can't understand that either.
Yeah.
Has that changed now?
Final 3 is not up to us. Final 3 is up to the jury. And so like it's not on us anymore. We can perform, I guess, to the certain extent chatting, but otherwise it's like on the other people. Yeah. But no, it hasn't changed, Ethan. I would still take Caitlin, and I don't know who of the others. I'm not sold that I would take Chloe, but I would still take Caitlin and then take whoever else
probably
was
Dale.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd probably, I don't know, you'd probably be the best option to take, and you'd still win, I think, is the discussion. But we often see final tribal councils made at final tribal councils where you see players who potentially going into the final tribal council, the jury weren't going to vote for. And then they give them their final pitch, and then all of a sudden, hi, Mum. And all of a sudden...
Is this your mum?
It is my mum.
Bless
I told her
her
she could comment. Last week she said she didn't want to. I said she could. And we see a lot of time the final tribal council where players come alive and they win the game because of that. I don't think you needed to do that. I think you would have won.
Well, let's just you gave your pitch at your vote. Like, you tell everybody why they should vote for you. And it was the first time I was like, stop talking.
Yeah, we're all like, stop.
I know.
You just threw out all the reasons as to why you were going to beat everybody at the end. And it was just like...
I think John was sitting there like, thank you, Kate. You're doing my job for me.
I know. It was so funny. Annabelle apparently was in the background being like, she was just like, you've never been so embarrassing, Kate. What are you doing? I think wow, that kept me up for a few nights, but we're okay now. Liz asked, I think, just like
tribal speech, just at the wrong point.
It was.
I know it was. In hindsight, I was like, "Who do you think you are, Kate?" Like, you had a healthy ego, but like, who do you think you are? But yeah, it was beautiful, and I was like, is that gonna be edited in? Then it was fucking edited in, and I was like,
I mean, look,
it was really good.
You were bossing this game, so I think you had every right to be saying that sort of stuff. It probably didn't help your case at all.
It truly didn't. And like, I think Liz just said, yeah, Kate, what's your pitch? And like, the camera crew before had been asking me what's my pitch at final 3, and so I was just like, I think I paused being like, that's weird, but okay. And then afterwards I was like, no, oh my goodness, read the context cues. That was so... And then, it's like, maybe that's kind of nice, because then everyone just got this whole pass to like give me compliments if they didn't even mean it, or if they did mean it. And then I got to leave on this like high cloud being like, yeah, I played well. La.
You did.
Well, you did.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
You played a fabulous game. Like, if you'd been in that final 3, the 3 of us have all said, do we think you take it?
Yeah, thank you.
And then let's skip ahead to final tribal. You asked the final 3 what their star sign is. Yeah. First of all, what is your star sign?
A Leo.
Leo, okay.
Yeah.
Can we have some explanation, please, Jules? What does that mean for us non-star signians?
I think you saw it. She's super competitive.
Yes, actually, yes.
Competitive, like, confident, charismatic.
Very loyal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so was that something that was
popular?
Oh, sorry, go.
Popular. Yes. Leos are popular.
Must be nice. Okay, go, Jules.
No, Was that something that was important to you, or had you already decided who you were voting for?
Everyone had already asked. Oh, so I think I was like in a semi-fortunate position that I had played relatively closely or in relative proximity, I guess. Maybe not, I guess, transparently, but in proximity to all three, which I think some of the others didn't get the chance to do. So I think I wasn't too shocked by what they were saying. And then the follow-up questions from everyone ahead of me in the jury kind of were super clarifying. They were really good questions. And so, yeah, I had nothing too much to ask. It didn't sway my vote because I hate cancers. So technically I shouldn't have voted for John, which, yeah.
I won't get my mum or my sister to watch. They're both cancers.
So yeah, it didn't sway my vote, but I was intrigued. And yeah, John coming in with a manipulative cancer, but it's fine. He deserved it for sure.
Yeah, it was a really close vote. Like, I think we look at it as your vote is potentially the decider because before we watched the final tribal council, there was always questions, where would your vote go to? Because you had an all-girls alliance. So what was your thought process around voting John? Why did you vote him?
I think John just played, no. Like, John played the best game is a boring response. But what I mean by that is that John was instrumental in the most number of decisions at Tribal, and John played from behind or below for most of the game. And I think they were all good at looking and seeing who and what opportunity was around them at the time. I think all three of them were good at that. But I think for John, that really materialized in votes and at Tribal, whereas for the other two, maybe the opportunity wasn't there to have it come through at Tribal, or it just didn't. I don't know. But John's, malleability and like quiet approach actually wasn't that quiet and did come through in votes.
Yeah. And I feel like when I try to look at everyone's game, I think Chloe did a good job to get to the end being the only yellow with a yellow majority jury. But I think overall, I would probably lean voting towards John because of his success rate in votes, for also going to so many tribals, and again, as you said, playing from a more difficult position. Chloe didn't go to tribal until she reached merge, and I think just watching back the final tribal council, the way John laid out his game was more clear and concise, and I think he just had more on his resume because he did more, because he had the opportunity to do more. So even though it was a very close vote, deservingly so, I think, credit to John for getting the win, and I can see why you would vote him to win.
Yep, definitely. And I think he had quite strong alliances with people. Like, I know there was some kind of like chat in some episodes about like that he's not as tight with Caitlin now. In the final few episodes, there was that kind of alliance maybe John thought was fraying, but as from another player's perspective, like that's not how I understood it. I thought their alliance was still really strong from the whole way through. And I think John was given a lot of opportunity, but then really took those opportunities. And he voted incredibly. He's super smart player.
Very smart.
So the question, Kate, do you think if you hadn't won any challenges, you would have been able to get to the end with your social gameplay, especially because we see sort of you move into merge and the first couple of tribals with CK and Max going home, where you're in a really good position. You've made lots of you're really good at communicating and talking with people. You've made good alliances. You're in a really good position in the game, and then you start to win challenges. So do you think if you'd lost challenges or didn't win them, you might have been able to skate through the game with less of a target?
Maybe. I think having well, number one, I'd take the immunity necklace off my fucking neck as soon as it gets on there and I get back to camp.
Okay.
Because I'm like, why are you still wearing that, Kate? Take it off.
Probably
Jesus
smart.
Christ. Yeah.
Smart.
The Leo coming out. I'm like, I must wear it. I'm so proud. La la la. Like,
Right.
Relatable.
But yeah, maybe. I think you see I felt a dramatic shift in my need to be in the conversations and people pulling me for chats when I started wearing the necklace. There just wasn't that same need to have me in the conversations. And yeah, maybe, because I think it might have taken a bit of pressure off of some of the people around me in a way that I would have been able to just like play a game with them as opposed to have them see me as a threat, like Caitlin kind of looking at me in that way. And I'm sure Tash, if Tash was around, would have ended up being a bit like, don't know if we like this. Yeah.
Question for you guys outside of Kate, is Kate as much of a threat without those immunity? Like, is she that powerhouse in final three to win without that back-to-back immunity wins?
Well, John says even without immunities, Kate just exudes power every time she speaks.
I agree. And we
John.
Yeah.
Because I think she has a case, but I don't think it's as strong of a case in final three without that run.
Yeah, no, I agree. Having 3 immunities back to back.
Was it 3?
Plus a strong social game.
3.
I'm not I haven't got the numbers. And I'm trying to think of how many votes like I helped orchestrate or whatever. I also don't have those numbers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 3.
John says, as she told us on the first night, grown adult men asked for her permission to use the bathroom.
Oh my god.
It's true.
So you
what happens when
said
you
early that people were to ask you for things.
By accident. I didn't realize I was doing it. It's not really a conversation starter though, apparently.
Yeah.
All right, my last question. We've talked a lot about horoscopes. I would like you've known the 3 of us for 48 minutes now. What do you think the 3 of us are?
Oh.
I'll give you a clue. 2 of us have the same.
Okay.
I won't
Wow,
say which 2, but 2 of us the same.
that could make it easier or harder. Okay, Ethan, let's do you first. Do you know your sign, Ethan?
I do.
Excellent. Was it just for this episode?
No, I've known it for a while.
Okay, well, congratulations. You're much more dateable.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, calm down. I think you're a water sign. And I think you are I think you're a Taurus.
Okay.
An earth sign. Is it a no? Oh, we're going to wait.
Were you right? I don't actually know if you're right the first time. No, the answer was no.
You're not a water sign.
You're not a water sign.
So you're an Aquarius then?
I am.
Yeah, so it's an air sign.
Wow.
Then,
Okay.
everyone gets confused. It's okay.
Aqua, Aquarius. You'd think water, but it's all good.
Well done.
Okay, Jules. I'm going to say you are an Aries. Sagittarius. Just give it to me.
Come on, Kate. I believe.
I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio. Dangerous. Okay, cool.
Dangerous.
Yeah. And you're the same. Wow. I'm not really sure I've met another Scorpio in real life before. So thank you two so
You
much.
got 2 right here.
I know.
It might not be the best thing, Kate. I've been having to put up with these two for 10 weeks now. So
Yeah, it's a very like analytical. Oh my God, Ethan's just bailed. Ethan hates
No, no,
it.
Dani got rid of him.
Oh,
I'm
that's funny.
every time.
Well, look, it's a very
Don't you?
analytical and abstract and edgy crew here, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
John
right.
says vote Jules and Dani out. Too dangerous. Well,
Have to wait and see. Kate, can you stick around? I'm going to take you out, but if you can hang around, because I'm going to bring Chloe in because she's here to have a chat with us, and then we'll bring you both and we'll have like a debrief all together at the end. If you want to go, you're too tired, feel free, but I'd love to have you at the end to chat with all of us together. Thank you so much. It's been great to debrief with you, and we'll chat again with you very shortly.
Yeah, lovely
Thanks,
to see
Kate.
you all.
Bye. All right. Runner up.
Hello.
Miss Mario. How are you
Chloe, hi,
going?
Chloe.
Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. Honestly, it's so weird to like finally see my face there.
Yeah.
Because I've just been stalking like this whole time, like seeing all these people like come and go, and then I'm like, oh my God, like thank God I'm at the end because I'm probably one of the bigger people to do spoilers.
Okay.
So I'm like, thank God, because if I was one of like the big people out, I just would have went on like a rampage and said everything under the sun. So
Well, luckily we've only had the one spoiler this season, so we've been very lucky with everybody.
no, it's been good. It's been good. I've loved
And
watching
you
it.
have been an active member of our commenters, so thank you so much for playing along with
Yeah,
us.
it's been a lot of entertainment at work, sitting in trucks, doing absolutely nothing. So I'll just be sitting there, and then like the person I'm working with will just like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I'm like ferociously typing away.
Watching
I'm
a
watching
podcast
people
about
talk
myself.
about me.
Yeah.
What?
Watching a podcast about myself. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, it's all about me. And like, did we just see Chloe? I'm like, yeah, obviously because I'm famous.
So we started with this one with Kate. Like, how did you get to Melbourne Survival? Like, what brought you there? Like, what?
Okay, so, oh my God, is that my webcam?
Yeah, you gone blurry. There you go.
So, funny story. I don't know who the hell went into Melbourne Survivor because that person was not me. She was a very, very like Jules has seen me in my natural habitat. Like I'm a bit of a feral, so I don't know who that was, but she was very, very shy and very, very quiet. Because I was originally applying for Big Brother. And
Very different.
yeah, so I was applying for that, and when I was sort of like rummaging around the websites, like looking for things to audition for, this came up on like a Facebook ad. It's like the government heard me and was like, she wants to be on something. So this popped up, and I was like, oh, like why not give it a go? So yeah, like I clicked on it, decided to send in like a little application sheet. And yeah, before you know it, they were setting up a video call with me trying to get me on. So that's how I came across this community. I was not a Survivor fan. I had no idea what was going on. As I said in like my intro thing, I only watched it a couple of times with my mum. So like, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what Rocks was. Yeah, I had no idea. And then yeah, like I've come into this thing, and now I've got friends. I've got a group chat that goes off every day. I've got things that I watch every week. It's just such a big community now, and just 2 years ago, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I that's how I found it. So glad I did, because yeah, I wouldn't be obviously talking to you guys today if I hadn't.
Yes, of course, and meeting this brilliant cast and crew.
It was so good. Everyone that I met there, like after the game, they're still so genuine and so lovely to talk to and have a chat with. Like I couldn't have asked for a better like cast to like do it with, even though I was shy.
Yeah.
That's right. Someone's got to be shy.
I was
that many
nervous.
big personalities.
Oh, like I'm usually the only extrovert in my friendship groups.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
usually the one where they have to sort of like tell people, oh, like she's loud. You just let her be. And then yeah, people introduce me as like, oh, she's like very, very outgoing. You just let her be. And then yeah, like I came on to this, and all of a sudden it's just, Chloe, shut up. There's like bigger people here.
Well,
And
there are so many big
and there
personalities,
were.
and you
it
get
was
that right off the bat.
aggressive.
So how did it land on the mat? You're in yellow with big personalities in yellow. Like, what is that? What does that feel like?
Yeah, so when we were doing sort of like, I think everyone's calling it a kumbaya, I sort of, because this was like after the challenge. The challenge, we had no idea who was who. Like people were, I'm sure people were, their brains were ticking, but I kind of tried to be like how I usually am by taking on like the fire, like with the flint.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that just went to crap, so I just kind of went back in my shell. And then yeah, like we went to the kumbaya, and everyone was sort of like introducing themselves. They were talking about what they do and what they like, and everyone was so well spoken that I was all of a sudden like, who am I meant to connect with? Because I'm now struggling to even. I talk to introverts. I get along with introverts. I adopt them and they become my friends. I'm now the one that needs to be adopted. So how do I make an alliance with these people when I don't even know that side of like friendship? Like,
Well, that
so, yeah,
explains why you adopted Brady.
which is why I
Yeah.
adopted exactly right.
Yeah.
Like I was questioning it for so long as to how me and Brady got together. I couldn't remember the conversation. I couldn't remember like what sort of drew me to like want to work with him. And then yeah, like it just dawned on me. I was like, he's literally an introvert. He's so shy, and even like when we talk normally, like he's very like to himself. And so in my head, I'm like, that is why. Like I was like, I can talk to you. I'm gonna adopt you. Let me talk to everyone else for you.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Oh,
And I couldn't have
absolutely.
been happier with that one.
Yeah, and he did a great job of that, and it was honestly like really fun to see the relationship between you and Brady grow and sort of flourish throughout the game, and we get to see like great confessionals from both you and Brady. And even though that you said you were a bit quieter in the game than you normally are outside and in real life, your confessionals and other parts of the game where you like okay TK or yes TK, no TK, like little moments like
CK,
that.
wrong
CK.
show.
CK,
Probably
CK,
the
CK,
one
TK,
Andy.
they look the same, you know.
They're
Um,
brothers.
yeah, little bits like that really.
little bits and pieces. It grew
Exactly.
over time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
speaking of
have I got a
confessions-
story for you?
Yeah, you jump off the log. So it's
You know what?
so
The
good.
camera crew got so much more of me than the people I was actually playing with, because whoever was bloody following me around, I felt so bad for them. Like they saw so much of me. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to cry on cue? Like, do you want me to be dramatic? What do you want? Like, and none of it sort of like got in, obviously, because I was talking to the camera crew. But even at the start, when we were looking for pots and pans and the flint, obviously now knowing what the game's sort of like, everyone was looking for an idol. I was looking for the flint and the pots. Yeah, like that was no word of a lie. Like I was walking around and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. There are no pots here. There is no flint. I'm looking at bark and trees, and yeah, I forget who was filming me at that point. Maybe it might have been Dylan, but yeah, like they were just having a good old giggle. Simply because I was just, what do you want me to do? I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, so like it grew as it went on, like more comfortable in front of the camera, or like knowing that I can openly talk truthfully in the confessionals, because you sort of just try and work with like what you can say to people, what you can't say to people. And so like I was so trapped in my confessionals, like, what can I say? Like, I don't know what I'm meant to be telling you guys. But yeah, over time, it was just too short for me to truly embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you think that first night really helped your game? I mean, you clearly went into the game not knowing much about Survivor, not really having that much experience with it. So do you think having that first night to sort of get to know people, maybe build a bit more of a relationship with Brady and actually find people you like, do you think that helped you? Or do you think if the game had just started and you might have gone to tribal or you might have won a challenge, that might have been better for you? Or what's your thoughts about that?
The first night definitely helped me understand where I was. Because yeah, as I said, I had no idea what to expect, or like, I just didn't have that in-depth Survivor knowledge to know what I'm meant to be doing at specific times. Um, so yeah, that first little night when people were talking about their favorite Survivor things and what's their favorite season, who's their favorite character, and I was like, oh my god, like these people know what they're doing. Maybe I need to start like strategizing and getting to know people, and all of us were talking about ourselves. Brady said he was a dad. Other people were talking. Annabelle said that she like did a podcast and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, like these people are really interesting. Like maybe I can like find connections somewhere. And yeah, I think like I think it helped with me going further with the relationships. But yeah, a lot of them were so, when we were all finding the pots and Flynn, they were already on it. So I was so far behind everybody else except for Brady, because he was the only one that hadn't really been swifted away. So I claimed him, and that's how our line started. So
And lucky for you, we found the idol.
what was that?
Yeah.
Is that
Danny's
me?
Danny's
Danny's
cutting out a
frozen.
little bit.
Oh.
Danny, you were
I think
cut
she's
out a
back.
little bit.
What was the question?
Danny said, luckily for you, Brady found the idol. So that happens to work in your favor as well.
That was so intense. That was like a real like eye opener. Like when he came, he was like, "Oh, I have an idol." I was like, "Oh, I have a shot in this. We can work with this." And there was at one point where I actually asked him. I don't know if it was like when he first told me or sort of later on. I was like, "Would you use it for me?" And he's like, "If it came down to it, and I knew it was definitely going to be you, and like I wasn't on the chopping block, I would definitely use it for you." So like I knew from sort of, the early day 2 that I was going to be okay for the first part. So yeah, lucky for me, it was just all about luck. Like the tribes winning the challenges was luck. Brady finding an idol, luck. Me and Brady being in alliance, luck. And then finally when we got to like the tribe swap, which I know you aren't in favor of, but I definitely am.
Good.
That is good for me. Sorry. I loved hearing you talk about the tribe swap. How much you hated it, and I was
Look, it worked out well for you. And
It
you
was
did,
great for you. It was the premise.
you did the absolute best you could have with it.
Yeah,
Like, you did very well.
I rank myself as one of the top people in that tribe swap, simply because I was on the winning tribe, and I was the one that picked it. Like, and I was in the major alliance in that. I was like, you know what? This is set sailed for me.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. But it's luck again, because Laurel could have picked Brady and split us up, or Laurel could have picked Max and split us up. Like, it was all, I could have listened to CK when he was trying to like put like names in my ears. Oh, pick this person, and picked Annabelle, and then I still would have been, my game would have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like until then, I think it was just a lot of luck, and I was so happy with how easygoing my brain sort of went with it. But yeah, it was good.
So, Chloe, I have a question for just before the tribe swap. We see the yellow dynamics with CK, Annabelle, sort of being at like the power duo with Max and who else was there? I think there was a 4, Max and somebody else, and then we have you and Brady sort of in the middle with Laurel, Ma and Rosie sort of like just on the outs, like they're not in the majority. So where did you see yourself at Original Yellow? Did you see yourself in a majority alliance, or did you see yourself just working with Brady's? What was that like?
I this is also another thing that wasn't shown that I remember distinctly. So I had no idea that CK, Max, and Annabelle were so close. Like, I knew that they were talking and they were probably wanting to work together, but I didn't actually realize how solidified they were until obviously CK was so devastated that Annabelle went home. And yeah, so I knew directly that I was probably the least manageable when it came to everybody in the tribe. I didn't think at all that like I was in any sort of major alliance or anything, and I think it was in my head it was just me and Brady, and then I was like, what are we gonna do? And then that's the whole conversation of we should vote out Annabelle, and all the rest. But then me in my head later on, sort of, I think it was that night or early the next day, me, CK, Max, and Brady were all around a fire, or the fire, and all the girls went off to go get water or go to the toilet or whatever they did. And I turned around to CK and Max and I was like, what if they're making an alliance right now against us? And they're like, oh, they probably are. Obviously, CK was saying that just because he already knew he was set with Annabelle and she was probably trying to get them on board with him. Whereas I was like, maybe they're making an alliance against us. Maybe we're the bottom, like all of us. And I was like, do you guys want to make an alliance? And Max and CK were just, sure. Me and Brady were already like together at that point. But yeah, they were just like, sure. I was like, oh, okay, that was easier than expected. Yeah, and I was just so like I knew deep down that nothing was ever like solidified, especially because we never went to tribal. But yeah, like that was my whole idea. I was like, oh, we're not going to tribal. Me and Brady are solid. I think these two are in with us. I don't know about the others. And yeah, like my first target was Annabelle because I knew she had been working with CK. And I know she had been walking off with the rest. I think it was Mara, maybe Rosie. And in my head, I was just like, easy peasy. Me, Brady, Laurel will try and like make something happen, being on the bottom, and then I'm sure Laurel, being charismatic, will go flutter her wings and get more people for us. But unfortunately, we just never had the opportunity to see where that went because I just won all the time.
I love that.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
A little flex there.
I know.
So I have another question quickly, Chloe, about that same point in the game. Did Brady revealing his idol to you solidify your alliance with him, or did you already feel as if like you were solidified with him?
I felt the closest to Brady out of everybody. As I said, trust in like this game is so important. At least having that one person to sort of go to and really relax your thoughts and break down everything, and you know, having their perspective on what position you're sitting in. So I was trying to obviously get with Brady, and then as soon as he sort of showed the idol, then the closeness became trust. So yeah, it was like a gradual thing, but yeah, it was like as soon as he showed the idol, I was like, that's end stage, like we're inseparable. Screw everyone that tries to get him out. But yeah, it was really cool. It was a pivotal moment in that first day where I was like, oh my God, like he actually wants to work with me.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad that he did show you the idol. I think that made better. I was happy at least, you know. It would have been really sad if you guys were really close and then he doesn't tell you about the idol and then plays it. That would have been hard to see. So I'm glad he did tell you. Were you scared of going to tribal at all pre-merge with your new picked yellow tribe that you handpicked? Were you scared that if you had gone to the tribal you might have gone, or what would have happened there?
No. Post swap or pre-swap? Yep. Post-swap?
Post-swap.
Yeah, so with the newcomers, it was quite adamant that CK wanted to get out Dale. And they were so aggressive from the get-go. Us for a tie, coming in between us, and I'm on the other side of the field frolicking with the fairies and seeing who out of the three I could speak to, which is how me and Kate sort of meddled. It wasn't a lot. As I said, we didn't have enough time to sort of make things a lot unless you get it from the get-go. So I did try with Kate, and that's why the option of maybe flipping was there. But yeah, for the most part, I was in with CK and Max and Brady. Brady had an idol, and on worst case, if I wanted to spice things up, I would have just flipped with Dale, Tash, and Kate, and Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I felt fine.
Yeah, sitting pretty in the middle.
Yeah, we saw Brady say that no, he was never going to flip. He was going to stay yellow strong. Is that how you felt, or you think you might have considered flipping?
In my head, so me and Brady are one. We are two brain cells that merge together and are then one person. Yeah, like it was a lot of whatever he wanted to do, I would do, and he says, whatever she wanted to do, I would have done. So for the most part, we probably just would have come to an agreement of just staying with CK and Max, especially because if we get out like the Reds, we would be more numbers at merge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like there was a thought in my head. It just depended on how much Tash or Kate gave me if I decided to sort of have chats with them, or how much they would have wanted to work with me post merge, if they would have brought me along with them. And then obviously Brady would have knocked some sense into me and said, why would you do that? They're just going to flip on you once we get to merge. And I probably would have stayed with the original alliance.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fair enough.
And then it's really fun because now finally it's merge and you have to go to tribal council. And before the first merge tribal council, we see your yellow alliance sort of come together, but also we see really clear cracks. We also see Max questioning whether potentially, like he brings up the fact that you or Brady could have the idol. And then again, CK saying, well, I don't think you two have it.
No,
And
CK said you don't have the idol.
Yeah,
CK tells them they don't have it. He tells them that there's no way they could have it.
I know you don't have it. No way.
And then Max is like, you could. Like, props to you if you do.
Yeah.
Just like Dani adamant that Shane did not have a second idol. But,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we didn't care about sharing it with anyone else.
Smart.
All the times, like CK or Max would be like, oh, like who has the idol? And me and Brady would just be looking at each other.
I don't know.
I don't know. I wonder who does have it. It's definitely the Rals probably got it. We reckon. Like they probably wouldn't have went so confident into Red if they didn't have an idol.
Good argument.
Well, Brady was just standing there with it in his pocket, just holding it. And then it was just so funny. I loved every time an idol was brought up, it was just like a more pivotal moment of me and Brady just getting stronger together, because it was just another comedic scene in this hectic environment that we just
yeah for sure.
So did you think your yellow alliance would hold up for the first vote? And I think it's Brady. We see Brady vote Dale on that first vote as well. Did you know that was happening?
With the Max boot?
Yes.
So I was actually really confused.
We see that after this. You're like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah, I was so angry simply because none of us had any idea Max's name was being thrown around. We thought CK, or we thought maybe me or Brady, but never in my life would I have thought they would all just bang on to Max. And yeah, like me and Brady obviously weren't talking that great at that point. Like we had a lot of miscommunication. I didn't think he was going to be Brady Dale. I thought it was going to be 4 on John, I think. And that's before I sort of really got to know John, even though we had like a merged sort of lay down conversation. CK kind of pulled out a name and we're like, okay, let's just do that. But yeah, I think it just happened like way too fast, and none of us. Brady says it was intentional that he voted Dale, so I don't actually know what happened with that vote.
Right. Yeah.
I could not tell you. That at that point, a lot of my brain was just mush.
Yeah.
I'd had no sleep. Really hungry. Really puffed out from all the running in these challenges. That I just
And freezing.
and freezing. That scarf of mine was so pivotal into my existence on Melbourne Survivor, and my mum's jacket.
Wrapped up in your, it's
Just
in
in
your
it.
hoodie. It's in the
Yeah.
hoodie.
And that was also my pillow on the nights. So like I'd have
wow.
to like roll it up, and that's what I'd be sleeping on while Brady got my soft feet. So, but yeah,
So-
no idea.
So the next vote we see is the double tribal, where you lovingly vote for CK and tell him that it was you. And then we immediately go into another tribal where you copped some votes. Were you nervous at that point?
Yeah, I think that was the first time I felt butterflies in my belly, because it was the first time seeing my name sort of read out in a, oh my God, I could be going home. But yeah, even that was like, I was sort of expecting it, but at the same time, yeah, it made me really, really nervous. But CK, I wanted CK out, and I think a lot of the people were trusting me that I wanted him out. So they were sort of like, we can work with her. Let's just do CK now and meddle with Chloe later. Yeah, that love heart was from me, and then I think I blew him a kiss. Because I was just so done. I was so done. I was like, he just thinks he can just pull my strings. And then I was like, I'm out. Me and Brady go play our own game. See you later.
To be fair, you handled him very well. Like it's very easy to back up at CK. Like when you come, like especially for like a strong personality like yourself, when another strong personality comes at you, to quickly get your back up about it. And you were smooth waters all the time with him. He's like, yeah, like from what we saw, it's just like, you do you.
Well,
like,
those skills have come in handy. Me wanting to be a nurse, I sort of just know when to just nod my head and go with whatever they're saying, just to please them and make sure they're comfortable. The last thing we wanted was to have a hectic CK running around, not knowing where people were going or having to fight straight away. Because as we saw, as soon as it started to happen, he went on a rampage. He was just going around like a crazy man. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's just making me not want to vote with you. It makes me want to vote for you. Like,
yeah, for sure.
If you're not giving me confidence, because I've been so sheltered by him, because me being a new person in Survivor, like I did need some sort of guidance, and sort of I was seeking refuge under his guidance, and his confidence went out the window, and that's when mine in him went out the window. And I was like, nah, see you later. Like, go away. I was like, if I don't know what you're doing, who you're trying to align with, because your buddy has gone, you're just going to throw me under the bus because you think it's me and all the rest. So, yeah.
And we see that at Tribal as well, where you and TK have a little bit of back and forth about the vote. TK sort of accuses either you or Brady for voting Dale, and obviously you know it wasn't you, so you try to cover it up, and you're not saying, well, I'm not saying it was me, but I'm not saying it sort of wasn't. And you have that. Yeah.
I didn't want Brady's name to be out and about, and then I didn't want me to be out and about that I voted John. Like, I was like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Like, it's up to you to believe what you want. Like, I'm telling you that I'm voting with you. That's all I can give you, so I don't throw my actual alliance under the bus. Yeah.
So, with you and Brady, it's talked about that you're the social side of the alliance, and with Brady, with his survivor knowledge, is more the strategical side of the game. What was your social impact on the game at Merge? Who were you talking to, especially after Max got voted out? You needed to create new alliances. We see you go off after, I think it's the CK and Tash vote, that you go off and create new alliances with, I think it's John and Dale. So talk to me about your thought process after Tash is voted out and you're now trying to recuperate yourself in the game.
I was trying, as weird as that sounds coming from as someone who played Survivor, I just wanted to be as friendly as possible. And I didn't want to come across as she's playing really aggressive, let's get her out. Like, I really wanted to become a number for everyone else to use, because there had been so much of the big players voted out because they were big players, or because people caught on to what they were trying to do. So I just wanted to like talk to as many people as I can, have genuine conversations. I was like, a lot of these people seem really personal. They have real life experiences that I could probably bond with really well. So yeah, like I just tried to be friendly with John and Dale. I was like, I can have conversations with you guys. Yeah, oh my god, screw them people who got voted out. They were like, I was like waiting for them to get voted out. Yeah, Kate and Caitlin. Caitlin, we all know she didn't really have a bar of me. And you know what? She wanted to play, and she wanted to play big, and I was just not it. And I was like, you cannot play chess with me. I am playing checkers. Completely different games. So, as much as I tried to have the laughs, the giggles with Caitlin, we weren't ever going to work together. So then my next step was Kate, and Kate was more passive, more willing to talk and willing to have the chats and see where you lie, to have that interchanging thought process.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of branched out to her. Obviously, me and what?
I don't know. Dani left. I don't know. It's all good.
Left.
Obviously, me and John and Dale stuck together more cohesively. But yeah, that was all I could have done. Just be friendly with everyone, boost everyone's egos up. Oh my god, yeah, you're so great. Could give them a pat on the back after winning a challenge, or like that's all I could do at that point. Even in the challenges, like I was most of the time this close.
Yeah.
To winning or being up there with like the final two people in the challenge. Like I couldn't do much. All my winning streak went out the window when I hit merge. I was my tribe. I was not an individual. But yeah, that's all I could do.
No, I think that's really impressive, especially for someone going into the game with such little knowledge. I mean, yes, it was helpful that your tribe won every single challenge, but also now that we get to talk to you, we get to see more of your thought process into the strategic part of the game and how you use your social skills to balance yourself out moving further and progressing in the game. As you just said, you clearly saw that there were big players in the game and big players were getting voted out. And as a reference to Australian Survivor, the one of two seasons that I've seen with Christie's season 1, she also makes that recognition. She's like, okay, big players are getting voted out. Anyone that makes a move will be next. And you clearly made that same judgment. Did you?
Yeah, like sometimes the big moves aren't the best moves, and sometimes the best moves aren't the big moves. So, like I thought to myself, obviously I'm probably not going to win the jury, but I'm going to get to the end with this streak, because I'm not trying to make big, flashy, rub it in your face, look who I got out moves. yeah, like a lot of the time people will talk about goats and who are more quieter in the game and who makes the big moves and more fantastic like resume at the end. And it's like sometimes you need to have that perspective of, yeah, but they're at the end, you're not. And if you've got $500,000 at the end, you're not going to want to be the ones voted out 6th place. It's like, it's as simple as that, because you may have an influence as to who wins, but you're not the winner. So, yeah, like the big moves are great. If I was to play again, which has been a question to everyone, and I definitely would, it would be an opportunity to me actually having fun, because I wouldn't care about thinking so much and, oh my God, I want to get to the end because I've already done that. My mission would just be have fun, make a big move, and have that, you know, in my brain somewhere of, oh my God, I've done that before. I have thought strategically on how to get people out, and I've made it obvious. Like, but yeah, that first time, she was a shy girl.
I would look forward to the spiciness of you playing a second time around. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
And so just moving to your final travel council, is there anything that you would change about your pitch to the jury? We see, in my opinion, you and Dale are much quieter about how you played the game. John is very clear and concise. I look at it as, yes, John has a lot more experience, I think, within the Survivor world and just watching seasons and stuff, and you don't. This is a very new experience for you. But looking back, do you think there was any way to like steal one of the John votes and get it moved over? Because it was a very close final tribal, and you did get 3 votes, which is such an amazing effort.
OGs, but everyone talking now, they're like, yeah, but I would have voted for John if I had a new in hindsight. And I'm like, but no, I don't think that, fuck you then, yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was much more I could have done playing the game that I played. It was just more whoever I had connections with, I had connections with. I was really nervous. I was really confused as to what I should and shouldn't say. I don't know what was going to highlight me. Not really knowing much about final pitches. Yeah, I kind of just had to speak about what was going on in my brain the whole time, and sort of reaching out and getting the heartfelt from Brady and telling him, you know, I would have stuck with you the full time, because he obviously found us very a highlight in his game as well. So me just amplifying that obviously solidified us. CK, I sort of just told him OG yellow. I'm the final yellow. He was really into the whole yellow scene. So yeah, and that's what I said. I was like, you know, OG yellow, I picked a winning tribe. Like, there's not much else. I did have a thought post game, because I know everybody does it after playing. They drive home and they think about what they could have done or said that could have changed the game for them. And on my drive home, I turned around and I said, why on earth did I pick John to go into the final 3 with? You know, Caitlin's probably going to win. Like, I understand that. That's why I did it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how good either of them are at fire. I could have made it a fire challenge and told Caitlin, I'm going to give you the opportunity to fight with fire, but if you lose, am I guaranteed your jury vote at the final tribal?
Wow.
And she says, I asked her this, and she says she doesn't know where she would have went. She does think she would have considered it being such like a bold.
That's a big move.
Yeah. You know, because her game was in my hands. So I said, if I give you the opportunity to fight fire on fire and you lose, would you vote for me? And obviously her being in her own game probably would have just said yes, just to have the opportunity, regardless whether she would have voted for me or not. But yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, you know what, like that could have been an opportunity to win, even though John says Caitlin Defs would have won the fire. I don't think anyone wanted fire to happen though. So,
but still, I think if you had made that pitch at that final 4 and said, I'm giving Caitlin the opportunity to make fire, put it out there. That could have garnered you some respect from the jury.
And the
might
fact
have
that she
swayed
wouldn't
someone
even be
else.
here. I could have easily said too, if she made it instead of John, I could have said Caitlin's game is all in my hands. She wouldn't even be here if I didn't vote for her to make fire. So
yeah, and I think that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, she can make her game, but her game wouldn't even exist if I didn't allow her to make fire with John. And it would have been a different approach. But me being me,
No,
I was not thinking very straight.
Look,
Well,
there's
also, it
always
happens
things
so
to think about.
quickly. It happens so quickly. So you have months to think on these things, all things you could have done. Years in
you
your
had to think
case.
about it.
Yeah,
We've had 2
Exactly.
years.
And then watching it back again and knowing all the other sides, it's so easy to have 20/20 hindsight in what would have been fantastic gameplay. But in a space of 45 minutes, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
And you're not even thinking much about the next thing, even though you should be at Final Four. But you're sort of in the present of who's coming up to you, what are people telling you, what do you want to go with, and then within the last 5 minutes is when you think what's going to be best for my final 3. It's kind of because both of them go equal amounts of pitch. You know what I mean? Take John, he's been to every tribal, he'll win. Take Caitlin, she's made not the best, but she's made equally with other players. So would have Rocks Caitlin.
Oh my god.
I also was in control of if we went to Rocks or not, apparently. So fire or Rocks, I just didn't want either of them. Yeah, they each go equal amounts of treats. So yeah, it was just whatever I felt in the moment and I was sad. Caitlin genuinely I thought deserved to be in the final 3. So it was sad voting her out, but I was just like, what can you do?
Yeah. And you played a really good game. I mean, to get to the end with a majority jury being yellow and having 3 of them voting for you to win as well. So yeah, congrats on runner-up, Chloe. You did such a amazing job of getting there. We all predicted you'd go early, and we're all really
sorry.
Yeah.
I was the first boot, and Dale was the first boot.
Sorry.
That was when I watched that first podcast, and all 3 of you were like, "Yeah, definitely Chloe." And I'm sitting there after obviously knowing the outcome, and I'm like, "Okay." Stab in the back, but it's all good.
You proved us so wrong.
I think, you actually messaged me after our cast assessment. You're like, that was fun. I was like, I'm sorry.
No, but I purposely that was me trying to not even trying to do anything, but when I saw the first one, I was like, oh, great podcast. Can't wait for you guys to watch the rest. In my head, I'm like, wink, wink. Can't wait for you to see how it turns out. I was having internal giggles. For the first 3 podcasts, it was Chloe's out. Chloe's probably next. If Yellow went to tribal, who would beat Chloe? And I was like, dude, I'm not going to tribal, so pick a new one. Just you see me now, that's what I was doing at work. Nah, it was good.
Chloe, is there anything else with your game that you want to talk about that hasn't been mentioned, or is there anything that you just want to say about your game?
No. That's it, really. It was a fun little thing, and that was not me. Obviously. They were all expecting I was going to rock up with lashes and my hair done and, makeup on. That's how I did my interview, and that's how they were expecting me to rock up. And then all of a sudden, I rocked up, my eyes are bald, my hair's up in braids, and they're like, "Who the fuck is this?" And I'm like, I'm not gonna sleep in lashes because a day thing, sure, but yeah, I can't wait for if there's a next one, because I'll be putting my name down and I'll be telling them I am dramatic. I promise.
All right, we'll start a
I will
petition to get
bring
you
the
to play
drama.
again.
Bring the drama. I will do it. Whatever you want. But yeah.
I believe it.
love
We've
All
seen
right,
it.
anyone out there is casting another LRG? Make sure you hit up Chloe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we are. The LRG community is always scrambling for women, so even though you've already played, I'm sure.
Well, I was the final woman, and I still didn't bloody win.
Well, you can blame Kate. Chloe, now's a good time as well. So
Well, Kate's gone, so it's just the four of us left.
Okay.
It's a bit late. We are all going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Chloe, stick around. We will chat. We are back next Monday to deep dive with the man himself, John.
Our last podcast.
I know. Block out your calendars. We may start a bit earlier because we know the man can talk.
We'll go all night.
We have a lot. He has told us.
I've got a pack of Red Bulls ready.
Yeah. Yeah. So we that's next Monday, not next Tuesday, next Monday.
What?
Time TBD. Next Monday.
This is the first I'm hearing about this, Dani.
No, it's not. I have put it in the group
Ethan,
chat,
check your
so-
messages.
Okay, my bad.
We'll be back next Monday. Thank you so much. This is our penultimate episode for the podcast, and we'll be back next Monday with the winner. Bye, all.
Sad.